Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Edwards, managing partner at H Venture Partners, a venture capital firm that invests in next generation iconic consumer brands. And Venturing Out is a series we've created where highly successful consumer executives share their experiences investing in and advising startup companies. So if you're looking to diversify your portfolio, stay connected to your colleagues, and use your expertise as a force of good and growth, then this series is for you. And if you're a startup working to grow your brand, this is an opportunity to really tune in and learn from the best leaders in consumer. And today, I'm joined by Jim Stengel. Jim is best known for being the youngest and one of the most successful chief marketing officers of consumer juggernaut Procter Gamble. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Good to see you in Cincinnati. I'm in California today looking at the ocean.
I'm jealous of your weather today, more than any other. It's like super gray here today.
Well, good to see you. Congratulations on just reaching the 10 million threshold in capital raised. It's been a joy working with you, and I'm looking forward to our chat.
Thank you so much. Well, so you are a phenomenal marketer, which is why we're so excited to have you involved. And I would love for you to share just your story, your professional background, your strengths, and how you got to where you are today.
That's a loaded question. Well, thanks for the opportunity again. I began my career as a journalist, and I think it's a great way to start a career. You're curious, you're investigating, you're synthesizing data, you're looking for trends, you're weaving a story together, you venture into areas that you don't know. And I started my career at Time Life. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm one of 6 kids, and Catholic schooling up through 12th grade. And I went into journalism and quickly figured out the business side was making the decisions. So I got curious about business. I took a couple courses at night. Then I went back for my MBA. And from there, I went to P&G. We moved to Cincinnati. I got married in San Diego to a San Diego native and moved to Cincinnati and started at P&G all within like 3 weeks. And so that began our time in Cincinnati. And we thought we'd stay at P&G for a few years, and we stayed for 25. And I worked in 5 cities, 4 countries, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, worked at an acquisition, was on 2 public boards during and after P&G. They both got sold. AOL was sold to Verizon, Motorola was sold to Google. And I left 12 years ago. God, it's crazy, to start my own firm, and have loved it, and have loved the freedom and the diversity of it, including working with people like yourself.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you started as a journalist, because it's almost unexpected, and what a cool place to start too. Well, so what was it like for you to transition from P&G into this new phase of your career? And what advice would you give others that are approaching that transition now?
Yeah, I think I went in with my eyes wide open, right? I knew that it would not be perfect, but I was very deliberate in thinking about what I wanted to do post P&G. I actually had a coach who worked with me on this. And I thought about the ways that I wanted to take my and our life, and looked at my past, my future, my strengths, when I'm at my best, what my passions were. And I was looking at, do I want to go be a CEO somewhere? Do I want to go into academics? Do I want to just kind of retire and do things I love all the time? Or do I want a portfolio approach to life with a purpose at the center of it? And I chose the latter, and it was very consistent with my personality. And frankly, my coach said to me, how the hell did you last 25 years at P&G? So because I do like variety, I like change, I like innovation, I like diversity. I like conceptual thinking. So I just decided to have a purpose at the center of my activity system And that purpose really was to help leaders be happier, more successful, more fulfilled by bringing a purpose to life in the business they are running. And that's everything that I've worked on over the last 12 years. And it's kind of falls into four buckets. One is thought leadership. I love writing. I love doing my podcast. I love creating content that's interesting and helpful. Second part is leadership. I do an awful lot of leadership development, leadership programs, both at scale and with individuals. And consulting. I have a great consulting team on purpose and capability. And the last is venture capital, which I've had a blast with, and you're part of that story. And for me, it really works. I wanted the freedom, the speed, and to work a high percentage of my time. This is what my coach told me. Find something where you work a high percentage of your time on what you love, and you will be very good at that. And if you want to make money, you will make money at that. And I've tried to live that principle every day. It's not perfect. It doesn't always work, but it works more than it doesn't.
That's awesome. I love that you got a coach to help you through that. I feel like there are a lot of folks out there that until they have a coach or a lot of coaches, a board of advisors, formal or informal, really don't know what they're missing.
No, on my CMO podcast, which I've been doing for almost 2 years, I've interviewed 140, icons in our industry in the marketing, advertising, branding. A big theme is personal board of directors, a very big theme. And I think some make it formal, some have it less formal, but there's nothing like having a group of people that you trust, you respect, you love, and you can bounce ideas off of them, and who know you and who care about you. And I think that's something everyone should think about. When I came out of P&G, I made it sort of formal. I asked people to be on my board of directors, personal board of directors. Now it's a bit more informal, but it's still helpful.
And since you've left P&G, you've really dedicated yourself to the study of purpose, which is how I came to know you through the books that you've written, which I love. And this focus on purpose has taken you so many different places and so many different types of media and interactions. Tell us more about that obsession with purpose and where it's taken you today.
Yeah, it goes back many years, probably goes back to my childhood, frankly, Elizabeth. When I think about the first jobs I had as a kid, I had a paper route back when people were doing that. I had I shoveled snow, I did lawns, I started little businesses in the community. And I always tried to make people feel better. When I did my paper route, I had a lot of older people on the route, and I would stop, I would chat with them. I would, sometimes bring them some candy or cookies. And so it was very old fashioned in a way. But I did take the time to get to know them, listen to them, chat with them about what's on their mind, if I could do anything for them. I got great Christmas tips, by the way. So that's not why I did it, but it probably goes back very, very far with all of us, actually. Mm-hmm. And then at P&G, I was there at an interesting time as CMO when we were rethinking how we build brands. And I give a credit to a lot of people in this evolution at P&G. Certainly A.G. Lafley, who was the CEO at the time, was instrumental in it. But I remember he asked me the question, and this is going back to P&G in 2000, 2001. When I was coming into the job, he said, "Why do our people go home at night and on weekends and do remarkable work in their communities, with their families, with the government, with charities, with philanthropies, and they don't sort of bring that energy to work?" And how do we get more relevant and more connected with people, our customers or our consumers? So we looked at how we built brands, what we measured, the work we did, how we spent our time. And P&G, it was very functional. We worked on superiority, functional benefits, better products, all great. But we didn't think as much about how we can make a difference in the lives of the people who buy our brands. So that led us to purpose. There were early brands who got it and started piloting a different way of working. Pampers was one of them. There were many others. And that led to a revolution in the brand framework at P&G, how we measured ourselves, our benchmarks. And I got the bug and I realized this works. It's better business. It grows brands faster. It attracts more talent. You have more energized organizations. You can never reach the goal because, it's kind of endless in trying to make a bigger difference in people's lives in a way that's natural for your brand and your category. And so I kind of got to the point where I said, I believe in this. I see it working. I have credibility because of my time at P&G. I want to go out and make a difference in the world on this, a big difference or a small difference. And there were a lot of people who kind of came up to me at the same time and said, Jim, you should kind of get out of here and take this message to a broader audience. One of them was Lee Clow, a famous creative at TBWA Chiat/Day. And he's done all the great work on Apple for many years. And he just said to me, I think you should do a book. I'll name it for you. We'll help you with it. You should teach. You should help people do this. And, and a number of people came up to me with a very similar message. So that's when I got the coach and I decided what I wanted my life to be. And 12 years later, it's been a wonderful life and it continues to be a wonderful life. And I think, I guess we could spend, I probably should shut up and let you ask another question, but I think we've come a long way on purpose becoming a way of doing business and people having an explicit purpose, one they talk about, we've become pretty good at embedding it in organizations and looking at it, coming out in daily work. Mm-hmm. My last two podcasts have been with Pinterest and TikTok. It's amazing how they talk about their purpose and how it's activated. TikTok, especially with their creators. But where we haven't made enough progress is in measuring it and linking it to business results. So that's where we're working a lot right now. We're working on, okay, you find your purpose, you activate it, but it's got to be a KPI that has credibility with the CFO. And that's what my team and I are working on right now.
I love that. You have to be able to measure what you want to change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not measured, it will be subject to the whims of leaders.
Mm-hmm. Probably one of my favorite things, when I think about all of the different activities that we've done internally and then, the way that we've been helping our portfolio companies, really getting that dashboard of KPIs of how you are going to goal set and measure against those goals. It's been so impactful for our brands to have a really, really good set of measures.
I would also say you and we have found companies that do have a clear purpose.
Yeah.
Have leaders with a sense of purpose. That's one of the things that we screen for. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the H Ventures portfolio, it is a group of highly purpose-driven leaders and companies, which is why most of them are going to do well, I believe. We'll see, but most of them I think will do well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really easy to get behind them too when they have that. So, well, let's talk a little bit more about H Venture Partners because you have a really important role in our firm. You are on the investment committee, so you have a voice and a vote in what we invest in. You advise our portfolio of brands on key strategic issues. And 2020 was a big year for the world, for us as a firm, for our brands. And we just went through a discussion that you led, a kickoff really to further fine-tune some of our investment themes in this post-COVID world. And I'd love for you to talk about the lasting impact of COVID, what you're thinking, what you're seeing, and how this has informed your thinking around our investment themes. What thematic areas are you really excited about now and why?
No, it's a great question. And I think we're all still processing this, right? And we just had a discussion with the investment committee about these themes, which was really energetic. And I think we could talk a lot about COVID and its impact on leaders and organizations, which I think will be lasting and profound. People are more in touch with their organizations. I think many companies are more in touch with their customers. That's a real positive. But as I think about the lasting impact related to H Ventures and what we invest in. I think implicitly we've been making the right calls even pre-COVID. I think if you look at anything, attitudes, demographics, the sense of well-being and wellness and health, millions are saying this, but it is something that is with us forever. And it's one of the industries that will be disrupted and is being disrupted. So I think in a way, every brand is in the health and wellness and well-being business now. Even if you go through P&G's portfolio, so many of their brands have this greater sense of providing well-being. And I think the companies that we have invested in, a large majority of them, if not all, are about well-being. So I think that's, I'm not the first to say this. It's an obvious trend, but we are at the beginning, I think, of a different way of thinking about medicine and wellness and health. And there will be lots of entrepreneurs, lots of ideas, lots of change coming in that space. So I think that's one. And then the second one where we've probably focused less in is this whole area of human development. And I mean, education's kind of a weird word because it has baggage, but it's about how do we become better people, more informed, more educated, more curious. Education is also changing massively. COVID accelerated that. But you think about the apps on your phone and where you go for information, entertainment, to help you be a sharper, more capable, and more happy person. There's a lot of opportunity there. And so I think those two themes they were here before COVID. I just think they've been amplified. They have been, and anytime there's a theme and friction and established players who maybe aren't as nimble, that makes room for entrepreneurs. And we've certainly found a bunch of them. And to me, that's what's exciting. But I think those are the big ones. We can talk about other ones as well. You can look on Pinterest has its trends, TikTok has its trends. I mean, those are all interesting to look at, but large majority of them are in this space of well-being.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me at the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020 in the US, where we had this sudden shutdown and we went from humans doing to humans being. And this year has really given pause and space to think about wellness on so many different levels, because whether it's, not having a commute, having more time for yoga at home, maybe being really stressed because of, financial burdens and thinking more purposefully about how to manage that stress. There's just been a proliferation of tools and communities that have popped up really around these themes. And I'm really excited about that because I think it's, even though COVID has created a lot of damage, it's definitely created a lot of really great new opportunities for this human development space.
Yeah. And speaking of, another theme before COVID is this whole sense of brands building communities. And again, people have been trying to do this for a lot of years. But when you look I talk a lot about this with the TikTok head of global marketing. They're all about the community. They're all about their creators. Pinterest is all about their community. Peloton's all about their community. Clubhouse, which is becoming all the rage, is all about their community. So this idea of how do you attract a community and keep them together, involve them in your brand process. Puma, the athletic brand, does a great job at this. They've been growing like crazy for the last couple of years. So if you're a brand or an entrepreneur, what community are you trying to bring together? What's their role in your business and brand? And what does that look like for you? And certainly that's a big trend. And when someone feels that they're a part of a community that a brand has enabled, that's a moat. That is a crazy competitive advantage.
I could not agree more. One of the things that really grabbed me about Peloton early on was this idea of together we go further, that sense of togetherness and positivity. I love that aspect, and something that's pretty hard to replicate now that you have hundreds of thousands of people that have bought into that and go there for that daily. It's pretty powerful.
They're still doing it at scale, and that's why they're so special, and you know that better than most.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing your insights with us, Jim. Your story's incredible. The expertise that you continue to share with our brands, with our portfolio companies is really invaluable. And I hope that everyone's enjoyed this time with us. And thank you for watching. You can support our mission by sharing this episode with your networks. And for more information on H Venture Partners, you can feel free to hit up our website, www.h.ventures. Learn more about our brands and our team and the companies that we support. So thanks so much, Jim, for joining us.
Thank you, Elizabeth. My pleasure.